So we're back again at Gully to Gully. There's been lots going on since the T20 World Cup in the world of cricket. So we thought we'd wrap up everything in one episode. Things might evolve on the PCB front by the time this episode goes out. Or as we've seen the PCB, the more things change, the more they stay the same. So maybe even if we release this in a year's time, it might still be relevant. But firstly, I think we'll cover on India's latest change. Despite their one defeat to Zimbabwe, they still won 4-1. The biggest news around Indian cricket, Gautam Gambhir announced as the coach of the Indian cricket team. I've got Moin here with me. So Moin, first things first, yeah, Gautam Gambhir, good decision.
You know, um, I'd say yes, it's a good decision on paper, but as with all these things, deciding a coach is more than what's on a piece of paper. The reason I say that is because think of the person he's replacing. Think of the culture that he created that worked for Indian cricket. Rahul Dravid is the nicest, most humble man who created a hard-working culture, but he almost assumed the role of your wise uncle, who you could go to for help and advice. And I felt India thrived under that because India's players are all terrific, right? None of them need any coaching, right? Rohit Sharma is very aggressive in stuff. It's you. They just needed help in one, like just making sure they keep their heads above water, especially with the media hype and the big PR and all the other sort of distractions in India. But more importantly, just somebody who's been through it all and like a wise head. Gautam Gambhir is tactically perhaps one of the most astute people in India, but his style is more like a major in the army. Like somebody who's quite regimented and somebody who I feel would take some harsh calls like oh, if you don't do this then X, like if you're not showing up, or if you're not, let's say if you're holidaying in London whilst you should be playing ODI cricket, or then that's the problem, you shouldn't be part of the team, this
Yeah.
over the top sort of thing. And the reason I say look, it works for sometimes I think it's needed for Pakistan, right? But for
Yeah.
India, I don't think, like, because the last time they had someone like that, Anil Kumble, there were issues, right? And you may say that that's because Kohli and other players just got too big for their boots. I don't know, but I definitely think it takes two to tango, and you don't want another Justin Langer or all. So I'm very very sort of happy with the move from a tactical perspective, and I think he'll bring out the best, but you don't want a situation where you end up creating groupings in the team, favorites in the
Yeah.
team, and where they start feeling intimidated by their coach, because this is a team of superstars. That's my only reservation. Remember though, when Gambhir was asked who was the best test captain India have ever had, he actually said Anil Kumble. So he's very much in that school of thought, right? And he's
Yeah.
not like that motivating, inspiring Ravi Shastri, who just make these big
Yeah.
statements and bring everyone up. And he's not the wise uncle in Rahul Dravid. He is that very much,
Yeah.
intense military man.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see how it goes. I think, especially in the other formats, ODI and Test cricket, that is. I think in T20 cricket, it might still make sense given that Kohli and Sharma have retired. So maybe the younger generation coming in might need some of that, kind of regimental disciplining or whatever it might be. That might help them, um, rather than having someone like a Dravid who's a bit more like you know, I'd say high level, hands off kind of a coach. Um, but yeah, it's still in the test in the ODI where you just obviously got the superstars. I think it'll be interesting to see how that pans out. I mean, obviously, on the face of it, him and Kohli have no issues anymore, but historically they have had issues driven by the IPL. So it'll be interesting to say the least how that pans out. I mean, they're all professionals, and as we saw in the T20 World Cup, Sharma and Pandya had their issues in the IPL, but they kind of set that aside for the greater good of the team. So I don't think that'll be an issue, given how professional the Indian team is, and I think the one thing Dravid has done is have a process in place, and I think that's what the Indian team does. They follow the process, right? So it's not about knee-jerk decisions and stuff. So maybe it might work out for them. But I do agree it'll be a big change in personality. Um, so time will tell how it
Yeah.
goes. But I mean, the Indian team, I mean, they're so all these players are so thorough professionals that I don't see as an issue.
And is it just with Kohli that he has an issue with? Because I remember there were a couple of other,
Yeah,
issues that he had. There was a point around him advocating Shreyas Iyer for captaincy at one point of the
mm,
national team. He made a remark. Look, Gambhir himself has changed a little, and I think it's more for the press.
yeah,
A year ago, he used to make really explosive comments that would attract headlines. He would make an outrageous statement or a statement that had some cricketing sense, but he would
yeah,
sensationalize it, and he'd exaggerate it, right? And he'd get a lot of media like
yeah,
attraction. You know, he's been a bit, like he's been aggressive with the media, and this was all whilst he was obviously an MP
yeah,
in India, but he withdrew temporarily from politics. He started taking on a more nuanced stance when asked
yeah,
questions. It was less biased, it was more neutral. And look, he's always said some really interesting things. It's just it's
yeah,
it seemed a little less bitter, or it's a little less driven by outside factors, right? Now, I think part
yeah,
of that was because he was always gunning for
yeah,
this coach's role. I genuinely
yeah,
believe that he saw that there was going to be an opening. I think he was hoping
yeah,
the opening would come a bit sooner after the 23 ODI World Cup, because that's when Dravid's contract expired, which explains why it's been about a year and a half since
yeah,
Gumby's change. But he's always wanted it. And look, a fantastic cricketing brain. And if he can
yeah.
just get the temperature in the dressing room right, I think he can bring out the best in the Indian team.
True.
And look, and you make a solid case about T20 cricket, right? Like, yes, these are all youngsters who are very flamboyant. They all are very
Yeah,
aggressive, styles. They're very charismatic. A bit all sort of in the Pandya mold almost. So they can also get distracted if they're not,
yeah,
kept in a disciplined environment. So I see that benefit.
yeah. And the only two things I'd say, again, slightly on the negative and neutral front, is for all his, approach to the game and his understanding of the game. He didn't have any formal cricketing credentials. I mean, in the IPL as well, he was a mentor, not a coach. So, to be honest, I don't really know the difference in the IPL between a coach and a mentor. They both seem to be doing a similar role, but maybe that's going to be his role in the Indian team as a mentor rather than a technical coach, so to speak. So that's my only concern that he doesn't have any like formal coaching credentials, so to speak. Um,
I'm a big
but the only
believer
other,
that coaches in the international team should be mentors. Okay, like the
there you go.
idea that
Yeah,
you have come from
yeah,
every class, every structure, every circuit of cricket before the international level, and you made it. And
yeah,
the fact that you still need coaching on how to play a sweep shot or whatever is absurd. Okay, it only
yeah,
happens across the other side of the border. Teaching people how to dive, all this. These things need to have been ironed out before. You have batting coaches, bowling coaches for some that technical refreshing. Because bad habits can creep in when
yeah,
you've been batting for a long time or playing for a long time in
yeah,
different conditions. So fine, but
yeah,
the coach's job is supervisory, right? It's a mentor's job. It's
yeah,
supervising, overseeing all the various technical coaching that may take place on an ad hoc basis, but it's bringing it all together. That is the coach's
yeah,
job. So I actually, yes, I know we criticize Misbah for becoming coach without credentials, and I stand by that. But here, yes, Gambhir doesn't have credentials, but he's clearly got experience, right? And he's got experience
true.
and success as a mentor slash coach.
Yeah,
You need one or the other.
true.
So
Yeah,
so yeah.
yeah. The last point I'd make on this is the irony that we would have that. Um, controversial point. Some of our Indian followers might cancel us. But anyways, it will be ironic that after 16 years, Gautam Gambhir, of all people, will be the first Indian coach to come to Pakistan with the Indian cricket team for the
Ah,
Champions Trophy.
oh yes, coincidence, karma, whatever you want to call it. You're oh, that's funny.
Um,
Extra
but
security for
yeah,
him. No,
but no further comments on that. I'll just leave it at that. And given that we brought up Pakistan, maybe it's a good segue to discuss Pakistan cricket and what's been happening recently. Uh, I think I don't even know where to start. I mean, where did we leave it last time? The debacle of the T20 World Cup. We've had like Mohsin Naqvi's radical upheaval of the system while him being part of the system. Some grouping news come leaked, some news around diving on mattresses and things like that.
which is the most accurate and credible of all the things that have been just said, right? Like
Yeah.
that multi-foam mattress. I mean, can I just please look? If you need to teach someone diving, which by the way you should have taught like 20 years ago when the guy was like
Yeah.
11, 12, but if you still need to teach him, use a gymnastics mat. Use like
Yeah.
it is shocking that ek to, like for one, it's a mattress, and two, it's such a filthy mattress. I mean, come on, like I guarantee, like the chowkidar slept on it or something, and it's like it's so
Uh,
embarrassing.
yeah. I don't, yeah, I mean, it's typical Pakistan cricket things, right? I mean, why making a video of it as if you're trying to do something like special?
No, I think that's a leak.
I just,
I think that's a leak. I'm quite sure that nobody took it in front of a mattress to put it on. I think that has been leaked.
yeah. Well, and the other thing is there's been, and these are not leaks. I think these are like again the whole PR campaign of all these players. They have their gym videos coming out and working out as if they're doing something extraordinary by just showing up at the gym and taking a few clips. Shadab Khan and his LPL stats and his hat tricks and whatever that means. So there's
Now,
been a lot of PR on
now,
the player side.
could we just? I don't know whether you. Let's just pause at Shadab for a second, okay? Have you watched the highlights of any of those big 4 or 5 wicket hauls? None of those, barring one maybe, none of them were good deliveries. They were random long
Yeah.
hops that just get miscued because of lack of quality at the other end from the batting side, and it's just a simple catch. Or it is a rash shot, or like, I mean,
Yeah.
there's nothing barring one stumping that I thought, okay, the leg, that did spin, although the batter should have come ahead to negate it. But for the others, it's just like at the international stage. So all this chat about, oh, Shadab Khan finally finding his form in domestic leagues is rubbish. Okay, one, it's against low quality opposition, and two,
Yeah.
it's not great bowling. It's
Yeah.
literal long hops that get smacked at the international stage. So for anyone wondering why
Exactly.
Shadab Khan does not convert it at the international stage, it's just because you are made to look good or bad by the quality of who's in front of you, right? And against high quality opposition, Shadab Khan's bowling gets exposed because they're really
Yeah.
average deliveries. One, and two, I think there is a mental block. I think Shadab Khan definitely gets intimidated by good batters. Definitely. That's why his record against
Yeah.
India, who are the best players of spin, is very poor. I definitely believe that.
Yeah.
Do I think Shadab has the ability to come back? Yes, because if you go back to his 21 and 22 success in the T20 World Cups, he was very good, and the bowling was also solid. The deliveries, it was, yes, okay, some of them were batters taking unnecessary risks, but he was very consistent. And I have to say, Shadab Khan before the 21 T20 World Cup was about to be dropped because he had lost his form for a while before then, and he then had to, I think he got injured in South Africa, and he took some time on the sidelines, and then he came back and became a different bowler, which is why there was, remember the time when Usman Kadir was getting preferred over him,
Yeah.
and then that turned back. So it's the same as everyone else. But I just wanted to make a point on Shadab Khan because I've seen so many reels talking about how grateful he is that his form is back, and
Yeah.
I'm like, well,
I mean, yeah, I mean, like you say, former like I mean, let's not forget he was the MVP of the PSL a couple of months ago, right? So it's the
exactly.
same thing, and we saw how that did not translate into international cricket. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure he must be phenomenal at low quality domestic cricket, but international cricket is a different sport. So yeah, I don't know what these guys are trying to prove by doing all these like social media posts. Like trying to prove a point. It's like Abdullah Shafiq, when he took a catch in the PSL and going like that. I was like, after
Yeah,
dropping sitters in the Australia series, like what are you trying to prove?
exactly. Who are you trying to say it to? Like, you've lost like probably two test
Um,
matches, but yes, you took a catch in a PSL match. Thank you.
yeah, honestly. So I mean that's I guess most factual bit of news that we can reflect on. The others has just been a lot of rumors flying around. I guess we start off with the groupings leak around how there's all. I mean, it's no hidden secret that there are grouping issues in the Pakistan team, but it's just how they've come out, and some of them, they sound a bit too extreme, exaggerated for me. Shine Afridi and Babar Azam and all of that. There might be some truth to it, but part of me also feels like Shine is just being made the scapegoat in a way to get rid of Babar. There's the whole news around rumors around banning Shine for a year and all that stuff. I don't know, but it just seems a bit too fake to me.
Yeah, look, I mean, it sounds a bit like high school, right? That someone,
Yeah,
oh, is unhappy, he's not been made captain, or he's not been made you know, the 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 leader of the project, that we used to have in middle school and
yeah,
senior school. And I just think it's a bit childish. However, I do believe there's no smoke without fire. So I definitely believe that there is a rift of some sort, and I can understand it from Shaheen's perspective. Now, I don't understand undermining national performance for it, absolutely not. But I understand the the hurt that it has caused
yeah,
because Shaheen backed Babar when everyone was questioning Babar's captaincy before the 23 ODI World Cup because Shaheen had successful PSL titles, and he was like, no, no. And I thought he was innocent. Like, he innocently said, we back Shaheen. Sorry, we back Babar. But when
yeah,
Babar Azam, when the roles were reversed, and Mohsin Afi called Babar Azam, Shaheen Rafi, they expected Babar to say, no, I back Shaheen. He's the captain. He's been made captain. It's unfair on him. But Babar's like, no, no, yes, I'll
yeah,
take it. I'll take it. And I'd also like the red ball captaincy back, which I think whether it's a bit of the Akmal blood, I'm sorry, it's a bit maybe harsh, but or whether it's a bit about his, the fact that he has a bit of an ego about wanting to be the undisputed voice, the undisputed, I would say Messiah or voice, I would just say the undisputed decision maker in Pakistan cricket.
yeah,
Maybe that's it, right? Because that's how the media and the team have elevated him at such an early age, right? If you go back, and I just don't think he has the maturity to deal with it in a good way.
yeah,
Like, he used to be quite a humble guy, but I think because he's been given this, he was very touched that the new chairman has literally, and the minister of the interior, as it happens, has literally chosen him. He didn't he chose himself, and he chose his own ego and personal gain over that of his teammate, and over what is morally correct, and over what
yeah,
was needed for the team, right? So I get it. So I it is not surprising that there is a rift, and there is Shaheen, who probably is not taking to instructions very well. He's also a kid, right? Let's not forget, he's 21, 22 years old. It's completely wrong. I'm not justifying it, but he's still a kid. He has a hot head, as most people, sort of at that age do, like, and he's probably rebelling against instructions that he gets, but I don't think it's
yeah,
as severe as it's made out to be. I don't think he's literally like not showing up to training, or that Imad Wasim is also not showing up to training and just telling Barber to fake
yeah,
an injury to the media. Like, Babar doesn't really like Imad. Babar wouldn't just cover for Imad and fake an injury to the
Yeah,
press. He'd just say, "Oh, Imad didn't show up to training. Why? Ask him." This is why I didn't want him in
yeah,
the team for so long, right? It would actually, if
yeah,
anything, validate and vindicate what Babar had done by keeping him out of the team. So all that is drama. I don't think that's happened.
yeah.
But I think what has happened, which I think is the underlying issue, is that there is some sort of trouble in the dressing room, and I do think even Rizwan is perhaps holding a fort. Maybe smaller because I think Rizwan tends to be a little more
Yeah,
diplomatic, but I do think he's also maybe grieved that he wasn't called in for captaincy
potentially.
given his success in the PSL.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Look, I mean, it's not, yeah, not much more to add from my point of view. It's a bit of a farce again. It's some bits are a little exaggerated in my opinion, but yeah, I just hope for a resolution. At the end of the day, the problem is okay. These are things that have happened, but what's going to happen now going forward, right?
Absolutely,
It
yeah.
still seems like Babar might be captain, right? And which I don't think is the right decision. But what else do you do? Um, yeah, I mean there are talks, not officially again, maybe more on Twitter and certain fans of getting Shan Masood back and all those things. I mean, we mentioned in one of our
Started
previous
by
episodes
gully
as
to
well.
gully. Started by gully to gully. Yeah, I like to believe.
So, so yeah, but I think, and that's part of the issue, right? Where all these leaks have come out, and it seems to be again trying to like go back and go into the past and like fix all these issues rather than seeing okay, what's the plan going forward. I mean, we've mentioned India again, not a fair comparison, but how seamless their transition from one coach to the other has been. Pakistan now technically have two coaches coming in and all of that shenanigans going around, and then all this stuff going around with the captaincy. So it's just so much going on. But I just don't. Again, like I said, the more things are changing, the more they're still staying the same because I just don't see a clear path forward. And then all these new rules again, nothing has been officially mentioned, but there is a cricket for all these new news articles mentioning Mohsen Naqvi's radical changes, radical again around things around selection policy and how players need to play domestic cricket to be eligible for selection, NOCs for like private leagues and all or like private leagues and all that stuff. Again, how much of an impact will that make? Uh, the quality of domestic cricket, how that's going to be. I don't know where this is going to end up at. So, yeah, like I say, the more things are changing, the more, I just don't see a brighter future, unfortunately, in all my negativity.
Yeah.
Um,
No, absolutely.
yeah,
Look, it's tough to be positive at this time, right? But that doesn't mean to
yeah,
say that it won't be positive later. I think ultimately the only real feeling of optimism can come when you see effort and results on the field, even if it's not results immediately, but effort, basics, trying to get basic, whether it's fielding, whether it's strike rotation, whether it's people trying and different combinations
yeah,
and like you know trying to upskill. I think the issue in Pakistan
yeah,
is there is talent, but there is a reticence to upskill from senior
yeah,
players that's then permeating across the juniors. For example, I think Shaheen Fidi refuses to learn that the magic ball isn't always the answer, and sometimes some good old boring line and length can be more successful. But look at Bumrah, and he's
yeah,
anything but boring. And with Barber, I mean, Barber has had a weakness against spin for like over 4 years now, right? He,
yeah,
he hasn't developed a strong sweep shot, which is where it all stems from, I think, because he plants his front foot down because he doesn't have another answer on
yeah,
turning tracks. He hasn't worked on that. He will sweep like rarely, but he clearly looks uncomfortable doing
yeah,
that. And for a player who we think is in your top five batters in the world, that he shouldn't be
yeah,
having a chink in his armor. The other is his mid wicket heave that always seems to always get caught out. Right, again, little
yeah,
things like that apparently have been picked up by coaches, but this Barber just
yeah,
doesn't see himself as someone who needs any improvement. And I think when you have that culture where your top performers, Babar, Shaheen, to an extent Rizwan, because he doesn't develop his offside play as
mm,
frequently, it's not good examples. I mean, look at Virat Kohli. The guy literally
True.
transformed his batting. Even when he was like, he would literally just go and bat and bat and bat. And except, look at Sachin Tendulkar. He didn't play a shot on the offside before the Sydney double
Yeah.
hundred because he kept getting out. Like, these are batters of much higher stature that accept when mistakes creep into their batting. So I don't understand what is. Maybe
Yeah.
Barber lacks a role model in himself because he didn't really overlap with the likes of Inzamam and all, and very
Yeah.
briefly with Yunus Khan. I don't know what it is, but I think
Yeah.
there will only be optimism when you actually see improvement. First in skills and ability, and then in results. Okay. The other way does not
Yeah.
work. The other way is short term. You can get some results go your way out of pure chance, but it won't be
Yeah.
consistent until skills and mentality improves. That's sort of my take on it. Um, and unfortunately, like it starts from the top.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I completely agree. And I guess on that rather mildly optimistic note, um,
Optimistic thing, it completely cut.
yeah, not much more to
Ah,
say, I guess,
okay.
on Pakistan cricket. And the most optimistic thing, please subscribe to the channel. We're
Yes,
trying to get some
please.
content out there, and let us know in the comments any suggestions. Obviously, the world of cricket is a bit of a lull at the moment. I mean, there's some test matches going on, especially from an India Pakistan point of view. Nothing significant going on. So let us know if there's anything you want to discuss. Should we go back to our dream team 11s and those kind of things? We'll do like a flop 11 of the T20 World Cup at some point, which might just be the Pakistan 11. But anyways, um, but yeah, on that other rather semi-optimistic note regarding Pakistan cricket, we will leave you to it. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.
Thank you.